Going over IRS Notice CP561B. This is a notice that you might receive from the Internal Revenue Service if you have a child with an adoption taxpayer ID number that's about to expire. So we'll go through this notice. We'll talk about what you may need to do and other things that you should know, as well as where on the IRS website you can get more information about how to handle this notice. At first, let's take a look at the top of the notice, because that'll give us a lot of information that we need to proceed. So first, up here in the upper right hand corner, you'll see CP561B. That's the indication that this is the notice we're talking about. The notice date, January 1st, 2019. So this is important because if there's any action required, usually there's a time frame, and the time frame really comes from the notice date. So if it says, take this action within 21 days, it's talking about taking action within 21 days of this notice date. And then there's contact information, a fax number, and a reference number if you need it. In this case, it's redacted, but your notice should contain actual information. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the taxpayer name and address. So if this is a reminder, if you need to update your address with the IRS, you should do so. You can reach out to contact the IRS, but over the phone. However, lots of people are currently claiming in the mid to late 2025 timeframe that it's hard to get a hold of the IRS. So, you might not want to wait 2+ hours on hold just to tell the IRS your new address. Your address does update every time you file a tax return. And then the other way that you can update the IRS is by filing the change of address form, IRS form 8822. So we'll put links to resources we've created about the change of address forms in the show notes. So let's take a look at this notice. So important information about your child's ATIN. So let's take a step back and make sure we are clear about what an ATIN is. So this happens when someone adopts a child that wasn't assigned a Social Security number at birth. This could be a child that might have been given up for adoption, usually the case, but by a parent that did not register that child for a Social Security number, or it could be a child that's overseas and being adopted and still needs to go through the immigration process as well. So an ATIN is a temporary number. It's a number that taxpayers can use to declare their dependence on a tax return, but it's not intended to be a permanent solution. So that's why we're getting this notice. Your child's ATIN expires in 3 months and you need to do something about it. So if you've already received a Social Security number, then the IRS will have enclosed IRS Form 15101, which is the form to provide a Social Security number for your adopted child. You can fax it and mail it to the IRS. And then there should be phone numbers where you can reach the IRS for questions. And then you can also contact the IRS in writing. If you do write, make sure you include your name, current address, phone number, case reference number, and then the best time to reach you. So we'll come back to the top in just a second, but I wanted to scroll through. This is the stub that you would detach and return with your completed Form 1501. So it does have the case reference number. It's also addressed to the Austin IRS location, which is the same one in this letterhead. Generally speaking, I recommend that people don't rely on the letterhead as a default. I have seen cases where the enclosed slip contains a completely different address than the letterhead address. So if you don't want your tax correspondence to get delayed, make sure that you're sending it to the proper address. So let's take a look at the page on the IRS website that contains more information about this notice. So generally, this is the adoption taxpayer ID number. Looks like a FAQ page. So what is an ATIN? Who needs one? Why do I need one? Can I use one to claim the earned income tax credit? What's the purpose of the extension request? So if you can't complete, I believe when I was doing further research that this notice is sent to taxpayers that might have already received a Social Security number for their child. If there's one that's given, if there's an expectation that the child needs an extension, then there's a different notice, and the accompanying form would be IRS Form 15100, which is the request for an extension. So if we go back to, this, we see what is the purpose of IRS Form 15100. That's the ATIN extension request, and that's in CP notices 561A or 562C. 15101 is in some of these other notices, to include the one that we're currently discussing, and that allows the ATIN applicant to inform the IRS of their child's Social Security number. So you can't file Form 15100 to obtain a Social Security number, because you have to go through the Social Security Administration. However, you have to file it to notify the IRS that this is the Social Security number for your child. And then conversely, the 15101 form, that should not be used to obtain an ATIN. You would need to use Form W7A. So 15100 is the ATIN extension request that allows you to get an extension before the ATIN expires. So a lot of decent information here, but generally speaking, if you're receiving this notice, there's a presumption that your child might already have a Social Security number, and this is your opportunity to provide it to the IRS by filing Form 15101. So that's it in a nutshell. We've pretty much covered what CP561B means. So we'll put links in the show notes to resources that we've created about some of the articles, the forms mentioned here. So we've got articles and we've got YouTube videos that go over these forms in depth. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.